Although this film was based on an incredibly popular comic book from the 80s, no one believed it would succeed, not even most of the creators. However, a few passionate individuals managed to put together a team and secure funding, and the movie ultimately exceeded even the most optimistic expectations, becoming one of the highest-grossing independent films in history. Movies Inside Out presents Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a superhero action comedy from 1990, based on the comic series about 4 mutated turtles who fight evil. What challenges arose during pre-production? Why did the costumes keep malfunctioning and seem to have minds of their own? And why was the director removed from working on the film's final version? We'll answer all of that and more right now. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. The creation story. The story of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles began in 1983, when artists Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird founded their own studio, Mirage Studios. However, it wasn't an actual office, just the living room of Laird's rented apartment. One day, Eastman jokingly wondered what the strangest animal Bruce Lee could be reincarnated as might be. The idea of a slow turtle popped into his head, and he quickly sketched what would later become Michelangelo, a turtle in a mask holding nunchucks. Soon, together with Laird, he created 3 more characters, each with a different type of weapon. The artists kept saying, "This is the dumbest thing we've ever seen." But they loved the crazy idea and continued developing it. When thinking of names for the turtles, the creators decided that Renaissance artists were the perfect inspiration. The first comic issue premiered in May 1984. It sold 3,000 copies, an excellent result for an indie publication, and the numbers continued to grow with each issue. By 1987, the incredibly successful animated series Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had hit television screens. The Turtles won over nearly the entire world, except Japan.
Precious manpower because a few immigrants are reminded of something that supposedly happened years ago in Japan.
At the time, the word ninja was intimidating to people, since real ninjas were known to kill anyone for a handful of coins. It was like calling a kid's project Killer Turtles, Eastman explained. By the time the live-action feature film was in development, the Ninja Turtles had already become a cultural phenomenon. But despite the success of the comics and animated adaptation, major studios weren't interested in producing the film, considering the story too strange and potentially a failure. This might seem unbelievable today, when comic book movies are one of Hollywood's biggest and most lucrative genres. But in the late 1980s, things were different. A negative example for studio execs was the film Howard the Duck, which had been panned by critics and audiences alike. Naturally, no one wanted to touch a similar film featuring characters in goofy rubber suits.
Especially bald ones with green makeup. Wear masks over ugly faces.
The most enthusiastic interest came from Roger Corman, known for his low-budget horror films. One of his wild ideas involved casting popular comedians of the time, Gallagher, Sam Kinison, Bobcat Goldthwait, and Billy Crystal, and strapping green-painted shells to their backs. Unsurprisingly, no one took Corman's vision seriously. Speaking of Gallagher, his manager, Gary Proper, actually helped the Turtles make it to the big screen. In the late 80s, Proper stumbled across a copy of the comic and immediately called his producer friend Kim Dawson with the suggestion to develop a film adaptation. At first, the story about mutant turtles seemed insane to Dawson, but he decided to give it a shot. Dawson acquired the film rights and soon brought in stand-up comedian Bobby Herbeck as the screenwriter. Dawson and Herbeck began pitching the Turtles project to everyone they knew, but no one believed in its success. Then, Herbeck remembered he hadn't pitched it to his contacts at Hong Kong-based Golden Harvest, the studio behind Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan's action films. The screenwriter persistently urged the studio's production manager, Tom Gray, to take on the project. Gray repeatedly declined, calling Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles complete nonsense. But one day, Herbeck remembered that Gray had two children, aged 10 and 12. As a last resort, he asked Gray to see what his kids thought about the Turtles. Naturally, the kids were thrilled, and Gray gave in.
Yes, dudes and dudettes, Major League Butt Kicking is back in town! Oh yeah!
During negotiations, Gray again considered backing out, but Dawson pointed out that the Turtles didn't need famous actors, since no one would see them under the costumes. This intrigued Gray. He immediately proposed hiring skilled Hong Kong stuntmen and said they could shoot the film for just $3 million. Excited, Gray shared the idea with studio boss Raymond Chow, who approved it. However, Golden Harvest now faced many challenges: finding a director, finalizing the script, and sourcing cheap but high-quality costumes, which, according to the general vision, shouldn't look too cartoony. One of the producers, Simon Fields, recalled his friend director Steve Barron, who primarily worked on music videos for American stars. For instance, Billie Jean by Michael Jackson and Take On Me by a-ha were both his creations. Golden Harvest pitched the project to Barron as a kung fu movie for a couple $1 million. But Fields and Barron knew they wanted to make something much bigger. Barron developed his own concept for the film, which significantly differed from Bobby Herbeck's draft script. Eventually, another writer joined the project, TV screenwriter Todd Langen. The creators of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles also wanted to strike a balance between the comic book's dark and violent tone and the more family-friendly cartoon version.
You'll meditate now on the events of this evening.
Interestingly, Steve Barron drew inspiration not only from the original story. His main points of reference were Batman and Ghostbusters, both of which combined humor and fun with real danger. The movie adopted one of the animated series' key innovations. In the comic, all four turtles wore red masks, but for the TV adaptation, Peter Laird decided to give each one a different color. Leonardo got a blue bandana, Raphael red, Donatello purple, and Michelangelo orange. The film also borrowed elements like the Turtles' love of pizza and April O'Neil as a reporter rather than a lab assistant. Meanwhile, Barron told animatronics specialist Jim Henson, who he had worked with on the fantasy series The Storyteller, about the Turtles. Henson, who was used to creating cute and kind creatures, initially disliked the violence of the Turtles. He even considered turning down the offer, and the studio thought they couldn't afford him anyway. Still, Steve Barron convinced Henson to join the project by emphasizing that violence wasn't the film's focus. And it turned out the hero costumes weren't as expensive as expected and fit within the budget. Even with Henson on board, Golden Harvest still needed to secure a distribution deal for the US. Without it, the Turtles stood no chance. Nearly all the major studios not only refused to finance Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but also declined to act as distributors. A promising $6 million deal with Fox fell through due to a management shakeup. The creators managed to attract only one small independent company, New Line Cinema, best known for distributing low-budget B-movies and art house films. Here too, kids played a pivotal role. Sarah Risher, the head of production, had a 5-year-old son who was a huge fan of the Turtles, so she was determined to help bring the film to life. During pre-production, the budget soared, and of course, the $3 million from Golden Harvest and $2 million from New Line Cinema were nowhere near enough. Somehow, Tom Gray convinced Raymond Chow to provide another $6 million from his personal funds. In the end, the total budget reached $13.5 million, but the origin of the additional $2.5 million remains unknown.
If you will please just sit down and calm yourself, I will tell you where we came from.
Casting.
Leonardo, Michelangelo,
It's me.
Donatello, and Raphael.
Amusingly, almost none of the confirmed cast members had ever heard of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and didn't take the project seriously. For the role of April O'Neil, the reporter and ally of the Turtles in their fight against evil, several actresses were considered, including Marissa Tomei, Sandra Bullock, Nicole Kidman, Melanie Griffith, Winona Ryder, and Brooke Shields. However, the role eventually went to Judith Hoag, who had only appeared in a few small roles at the time.
We've been waiting for you, Miss O'Neill.
What? Am I behind on my Sony payments again?
The actress recalled that while preparing for the role, she was filming Cadillac Man, where her co-star was Robin Williams. One day, he asked about her second project, and Judith mumbled unenthusiastically, "Oh, just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles." But Williams's expression suddenly changed, and he asked excitedly, "You're playing April?" It turned out the actor was a huge fan of the Turtles franchise. Thanks to Williams, she realized she wasn't in just another throwaway film and truly embraced her character. The actors portraying the Turtles had to spend hours inside hot and uncomfortable suits, all while remaining anonymous to the audience. As compensation, the director decided to give each of them a cameo out of costume. For example, Josh Pais, who played Raphael, can be spotted as a taxi passenger.
What the heck was that?
Looked like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat.
While Pais was the only one who provided both the physical performance and the voice, other Turtles were portrayed by two people, one for puppeteering and one for voice acting.
Question.
Yeah?
Do you like penicillin on your pizza?
Michael Insisti, who played Michelangelo, appeared as the pizza delivery guy.
Come on, I couldn't find a place.
Sisti shared that for his audition, he invented his own version of martial arts, as he had no prior experience. During the casting, he performed a signature high kick that accidentally smashed through a wall, leaving his leg stuck. Steve Barron laughed and said that anyone who brought that much energy to an audition deserved to be one of the Turtles.
Park rind?
David Foreman landed the role of Leonardo and also played one of the thugs in the warehouse.
You're gonna be okay, Raph. You're gonna be okay.
Yeah, all right, Leo.
Leif Tolden portrayed Donatello and also appeared masked as a Foot Clan messenger.
I deliver a message. Shut it.
Splinter, the Turtles' mentor and adoptive father, was performed by puppeteer Kevin Clash, best known as the voice of Elmo from Sesame Street, a role he held for 34 years.
Have always liked Kawabunga.
Corey Feldman, who voiced Donatello, revealed that he was paid only $1,500 for the job. He accepted the fee based on the producer's claim that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be a low-budget indie film released directly on VHS.
It worked.
All the Turtle actors spent several months training for the shoot, working in New York with a sensei. In addition to general preparation, they learned how to properly handle their weapons. Casey Jones, the vigilante who joins the Turtles, could have been played by Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves, Kiefer Sutherland, or River Phoenix, but the role ultimately went to Canadian actor Elias Koteas.
Class is paying 101. Your instructor's Casey Jones.
The role of Master Tatsu was originally considered for Professor Toru Tanaka, but was later given to Toshishiro Obata.
Never lower your eyes to an enemy.
Yes, Master Tetsu.
Shredder, the leader of the Foot Clan, was portrayed by James Saito.
You fight well, in the old style. But you've caused me enough trouble.
One of Sam Rockwell's first film appearances was in the role of the leader of the street gang.
We're a family.
Jay Patterson appeared as Charles Pennington, April's boss.
Nothing's with me today. I just thought you might like a little help, that's all.
While his son Danny was played by Michael Turney.
April, here.
What's this for?
It's something I owe you. Trust me.
Also appearing in the film as unnamed Foot Clan members were Skeet Ulrich, who would later star in Scream, and Scott Wolf, who would go on to play the lead in the TV series Party of Five. Kevin Eastman made a cameo as a garbage collector, while Peter Laird declined to appear on screen. The filming process.
when we were forced to come to New York, I found myself for the first time.
Filming for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles took place from July 10th to September 9th, 1989. Despite the story being set in New York, Golden Harvest couldn't afford to shoot most of the movie there. Unexpectedly, officials from North Carolina offered the producers the chance to film at the bankrupt studio of Dino De Laurentiis, which at the time was government-owned. It was there that the team built the New York rooftop sets and filmed most of the scenes. To make the sets look authentic, the production designers traveled to New York several months before shooting and took numerous photos of various city locations, capturing footage of major landmarks. Although they weren't allowed to study the city's sewer system, they did gain access to an abandoned Brooklyn subway line with a similar layout.
It's hard to get good maid service in a sewer.
There were challenges building the turtles' underground lair. The set was intended to be over 8 feet high, but water started rising at almost 5 feet deep. In the end, the space had to be filled with concrete. Shredder and the Foot Clan's hideout was filmed at an abandoned cement factory near Wilmington, North Carolina.
You are here because the outside world rejects you.
A few years later, this same location would be used as Top Dollars Club in the 1994 film The Crow. Early on, the filmmakers considered using the approach from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where actors would interact with animated turtles. However, they quickly abandoned this idea in favor of animatronic suits. As previously mentioned, the turtle suits were developed at Jim Henson's Creature Shop in London. Henson, the creator of The Muppet Show, was thrilled to work on the designs and proud to have contributed to the advancement of animatronics. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be his final project. Henson passed away from pneumonia just 2 months after the film's premiere at the age of 53. The entire suit production process took 18 weeks. The suits were made of foam latex and weighed about 66 pounds. To conceal their bulk, dialogue scenes were shot at 23 frames per second, so that when played back at the standard 24 FPS, the turtles' movements appeared more fluid. Fight scenes were shot at 22 FPS for the same reason. Facial expressiveness and individuality were achieved through cutting-edge animatronic technology. The masks were equipped with internal mouth, eye, and brow mechanisms, and technicians controlled a pre-programmed set of emotions via computer. Lip sync was achieved using motion capture. Technicians wore special helmets with cameras that recorded their mouth movements and transmitted them to the mechanical mouths inside the masks. Before filming began, all turtle actors rehearsed the movie like a stage play, but without the suits. Technicians closely observed their facial expressions and head movements to try to replicate them with the animatronic heads. Jim Henson's suits looked impressive, but wearing them was a nightmare. In the stifling heat of summer and inside heavy costumes, the actors suffered terribly from dehydration, consuming several liters of water daily. In one scene, where Raphael lands in a garbage can set up by Casey Jones, the face and inner parts of the animatronic head caved in and broke Josh Pice's nose. You can see Raphael grab his face as he climbs out. Then the shot abruptly cuts.
You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. I'll teach you.
Pice also claimed the turtle heads made awful noise and compressed his skull. Being in costume was especially hard for him due to severe claustrophobia. He had to constantly remove the helmet between takes to stay sane. It was like being in Grand Central Station at rush hour with a tin can on your head. He described his agonizing experience.
Incredibly claustrophobic. And, we would get incredibly hot, and sometimes, the face would freeze like in a smile, and we would be start freaking out.
Leif Tolden, who played Donatella, said that despite his character being upbeat and friendly, he constantly thought,
"Oh God, I want to kill everyone in this room."
Filming near Wilmington's active airport caused additional problems. The turtles' remote-controlled animatronic heads picked up signals from the control tower, causing their expressions to behave unpredictably. Plus, the stunt actors in masks could barely see and frequently tripped and fell. The opening scene, where the turtles emerge from around a corner, had to be reshot 36 times.
In this, you must never lapse.
In both the script and novelization, the teen beaten by Tatsu was supposed to die. However, the ratings board deemed the scene inappropriate for a family film, so the filmmakers added breathing sounds and lines from bystanders to suggest he survived. In the French version, though, the boy actually dies. In the comics and cartoon, the turtles were over 3 feet tall, but in the film, they were scaled up to adult human height for practical reasons. Oddly enough, in the film, Michelangelo hates anchovies on pizza, while in the animated version, he actually likes them.
Sorry, compadres, I just can't resist an anchovy and hot fudge pizza.
Also, in the film, Hamato Yoshi is portrayed as Splinter's owner and teacher, which aligns with the comic. But in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, Splinter is Hamato Yoshi, mutated into a rat by Ooze. This film marks the first time the Turtles use shortened versions of their names: Leo, Donnie, Raph, and Mikey. In the original comics and 1987 cartoon, they addressed each other by their full names. At the end of the film, one of the street punks, played by Sam Rockwell, tells the police chief to check out the old warehouse on Lairdman Island.
Go check out the East Warehouse over Lairdman Island. You'll get your answers there.
Lairdman is a nod to the creators' surnames, Laird and Eastman. Originally, Steve Barron wanted to replicate April's cartoon look, yellow jumpsuit and wild red hair, but Judith Hoag found the look terrifying. It was scrapped, though a nod remains in the form of her yellow raincoat. Barron really wanted to film a retro-style flashback of the Turtles growing up. However, these scenes proved too difficult and time-consuming, involving real animals and miniature Splinter and turtle puppets.
That was us. Shut up. Oh, no.
So Barron assigned them to a second unit, led by director Brian Henson. Danny's t-shirt features Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. This was Steve Barron's idea. He wanted a punk rock soundtrack for the film. But the producers pushed for more commercial music, and the final film featured MC Hammer and songs like Turtle Power. The original score was supposed to be composed by Malcolm McLaren, but eventually John Duprez joined the project. According to Josh Pace, during post-production, the producers removed Steve Barron from the film because his version drastically differed from theirs and felt too dark. It's still unknown exactly how his vision differed from the final cut, and fans continue to speculate. Interestingly, the same fate befell the original editor, Sally Menke, a newcomer at the time, who was later known for editing many Quentin Tarantino films. Movie mistakes and errors. And now, as usual, let's go over a few mistakes from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Mysterious movements. When the Turtles head to April's place, she climbs out of the sewer first, followed by Donatello. But then, instead of Donatello, Michelangelo jumps out next, with Donatello emerging only after him. Phantom trip. Raphael trips a Foot Clan member, but it's obvious that their feet don't actually touch. Magical drawing. When April draws Leonardo and gives the sketch to Danny, the signature is written in one long line. But when Shredder pulls it from Danny's pocket, the signature appears as 2 short lines. Evidence of multiple takes. When the Foot Clan members first bring axes to the fight in April's apartment, the floor already looks hacked up, as if the battle had been filmed many times. Crew cameo. As Raphael and Leonardo argue in April's apartment, a crew member in an orange cap can be seen trying to hide under the table.
Your ninja skills are reaching their peak.
Creepy surprise. After Raphael regains consciousness in the bathroom, Donatello laughs at a joke. As he throws his head back and opens his mouth, you can clearly see the actor's real teeth inside. What mistakes did you spot in the film? Share them in the comments. Deleted scenes and behind the scenes. Many deleted scenes from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are known to exist, but nearly all of them only survive as behind-the-scenes photos. No official video compilations have ever been released. These are some of the cutscenes. Raphael chases Casey Jones after their first meeting in the park, and they get into a fight. Shredder fights some rookie kids who tried to rob April at the start of the film. April and the Turtles help an injured Raphael escape through a basement door. Footage of Michelangelo training. Casey talks to April while inside a well. Longer training sequences with Leonardo and Donatello. An alternate ending where April and Danny visit a comic book publisher to pitch the idea of walking, talking turtles. The publisher rejects it as far-fetched. In the original trailer, there's a shot of turtle shells sticking out of a swamp. This was removed from the final cut, but later appeared in the sequel. The British theatrical version was significantly altered. All Eastern martial arts weapons were removed, and several shots of Michelangelo were replaced with alternatives to hide his nunchaku. The fight between Michelangelo and a Foot Clan member was cut entirely, and the scene with Shredder in the garbage was heavily edited. In the song Turtle Power, the word ninja was changed to hero. Fun fact, the UK version of the cartoon was also retitled Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. The unedited original version wasn't released on DVD in the UK until 2004. A similar case happened with the German theatrical version, but there they also added cartoonish sound effects to soften the impact of the fight scenes. And now, let's take a look at a collection of the most fun and fascinating moments from the making of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Worldwide recognition. Shortly before the film's theatrical release, the creators held test screenings, attended by executives from Playmates Toys, the company that had been producing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures since 1988. They thought it was the worst movie they had ever seen and feared it would ruin the entire toy line. But then Tom Gray decided to organize special screenings for local children, and the kids were thrilled. That strongly influenced the skeptical executives' opinions.
Hey, Raph, where are you going? Out to a movie.
Fortunately, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't live up to everyone's worst fears. The film hit US theaters on March 30th, 1990, and topped the box office on its opening weekend with over $25 million. It went on to gross $135 million in North America and an additional $66 million internationally, pushing its total gross past $200 million. That made it the 9th highest grossing film of 1990.
Wise man say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
And the most successful independent movie ever made, until the Blair Witch Project broke that record in 1999. The film was nominated for a Saturn Award in the categories of Best Fantasy Film and Best Costumes, and it won the Kids' Choice Award for Favorite Animal Characters. At the same time, the Yoga Awards named it the worst foreign film of the year. Critics gave the movie mixed reviews. They praised the creative and funny martial arts scenes and called it great fun for kids, but criticized its sluggish plot, flat characters, and hints of racism in its depiction of Asian villains. Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, however, saw no flaws and still consider the first live-action adaptation of their comic the best in the franchise. Speaking of the franchise, its unexpected success led to 2 sequels. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze in 1991, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 in 1993. While neither film impressed critics or audiences as much as the original, they were modest box office hits. Since then, the Turtles have been featured in numerous TV shows and specials. They returned to the big screen in 2007 as a CGI animated superhero film, and the franchise was rebooted again in 2014 with a live-action film that spawned a sequel. The planned trilogy, however, was never completed. Judith Hoag was reportedly so unhappy with the filming experience, her character's depiction, and the violent scenes that the producers decided not to invite her back for the sequels.
Let's go.
Lead the way, Toots.
Toots?
As a result, her career never really took off, and she continued acting in minor roles in lesser-known projects. Of all the stunt performers who played the Turtles, only Josh Pais managed to build a sustainable acting career. He still appears in supporting roles in notable films and series. None of the other actors became stars, except for Sam Rockwell, who went on to play a wide range of roles and eventually won an Oscar for 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Funnily enough, the company that believed most in the success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was Pizza Hut, which launched a $20 million marketing campaign tied to the film, including extensive media, radio, and TV advertising. Ironically, the pizza shown on screen was from Domino's Pizza. And now we're curious, do you prefer the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie or the animated TV series?